To chase quick cash, a woman came up with a twisted plan. She staged rescue videos of injured stray cats and posted them online. Her kind heart quickly won over tons of online supporters. Some even donated money to help her save more animals. With easy money flowing in, she escalated using fake certificates to scam even more donations. Once the funds were secured, the animals that were no longer useful mysteriously disappeared. But just when she thought no one would find out, she realized someone was watching her. Suspicious. Sora went through her old videos frame by frame, and sure enough, a man's shadow kept showing up. That could only mean one thing. This man may have witnessed her dirty secrets all along. If he exposed her online, her perfect image would crumble overnight. But Sora was no ordinary woman. She decided to strike first. She started following the man, Jung Tae, tracking his every move, even memorizing his door code and daily routine. When Jung Tae left for work, Sora snuck into his apartment only to stumble upon a secret door. Inside was a collection of trophies Jung Tae had secretly gathered. Turns out, he often abused his job to secretly sneak into tenants' homes, spying on their private lives. Whenever he found something broken, he'd helpfully fix it, but not for free. As his twisted reward, he'd pocket the most worthless item in the house, snap a photo of it, and add it to his creepy collection. And Sora? She was his next target. Jung Tae had already been following her, digging through her mailbox, and even found her personal info online. Sora was a beloved influencer known for her charity work and rescuing strays, but Jung Tae wanted to see the real Sora, up close and personal. He tried breaking into her apartment but failed to crack her advanced lock, even after guessing dozens of codes. So he switched tactics, collecting her fingerprints and using powder to narrow down her passcode. But when the final dust settled, the truth floored him. Sora's passcode was 10 digits long, way beyond what he could handle. Just when he was about to give up, Sora reached out to him first, claiming she was being relocated for work and was willing to rent out her place. Jung Tae knew she was lying, but this was his chance and there was no way he'd let it slip away. Sora said he could come see the place anytime. Without hesitation, she handed him the keycard. Jung Tae's heart was about to explode with excitement. His smile stretched so wide it could barely be contained. The moment Sora left, he snuck into her apartment. He soaked in every trace of her life, carefully inspecting every corner. As his little trophy, he pocketed the most worthless item he could find to mark his successful break-in, noticing some faulty wiring in her place. He even planned to bring a stabilizer next time. Nothing escaped his attention, not even the sink drain. All he pulled up was a clump of hair and some bits of plastic. Jung Tae felt a bit unsettled, but with Sora about to return, he chose to save his curiosity for another day. The next time, he returned with the stabilizer, eager to poke around again, only to be completely stunned by what he saw. The horrific scene in front of him made him want to vomit, but this was a crime scene. Vomiting would leave traces, so he forced it back down. Jung Tae almost called the police, but remembering his own history of sneaking around, he chickened out and bolted from the scene. Once outside, he quickly drafted a text to Sora, saying he'd be bringing some prospective tenants to view the place, hoping to make them the first ones to discover the scene and call the police. Acting calm, Jung Tae unlocked the door and let the couple step in first.
아무도 앉지 마라!
집이 엄청 깔끔해요.
But what he saw next completely floored him. Not only was the body gone, but the place had been scrubbed spotless. Jung Tae immediately suspected that the killer had been hiding inside the whole time, waiting for him to leave, then swiftly cleaned up the scene. If that was true, it also meant the killer had seen his face. For the next few days, Jung Tae was a nervous wreck, constantly monitoring the news to see if Sora's body had been found. Just when he was debating whether to report it himself, a mysterious red envelope arrived at his door. Inside was a chilling message. "It's you, isn't it?" Along with photos of Sora's gruesome death and a picture of Jung Tae inside her apartment. In the corner of one blood-stained photo, a short strand of hair. That's when Jung Tae remembered whenever he got nervous, he had a habit of tugging his own hair. That strand was unmistakably his. If the killer handed this evidence to the police, there'd be no way to clear his name. Before he could even catch his breath, the crematorium called. Someone had smashed his mother's urn niche and shredded her memorial photo. Jung Tae was certain it was the same person. He decided to move his mother's ashes to a different facility, but just as he got into his car, another vehicle came speeding straight at him. Thinking it was a reckless driver, he yanked the door open only to find no one inside. When he checked the surveillance footage, It showed someone had tampered with the car's handbrake, but the footage was too blurry to make out the suspect's face. In the end, the case was left unsolved. Meanwhile, at the police station, Sora's best friend filed a missing person report. She told the police that Sora had warned her if she ever went off the grid for more than 2 days, she needed to report it immediately. Detectives launched an investigation, but they hit a wall after Sora vanished. Her phone location history and transaction records all stopped cold. The only lead they had was the real estate agency Sora had been dealing with. When the police showed up at the agency, Jung Tae put on his most innocent face, claiming he had tried to contact Sora the day they were supposed to show the apartment, but she never answered his calls, so he just sent her a text. He also said the couple who came to view the place could confirm Sora wasn't home at the time. Just when Jung Tae thought he was off the hook, the detectives asked for Sora's keycard. Afraid they might find something, Jung Tae quietly followed them to Sora's apartment. The detectives searched every corner but found nothing useful, and Jung Tae, watching from outside, finally breathed a sigh of relief. But just then, the sharp-eyed detective Wu noticed fresh scrape marks on the sofa. He knelt down for a closer look and found a patch of bloodstains that hadn't been fully cleaned. The apartment was immediately sealed off as a crime scene. Jung Tae suspected the killer left those clues on purpose, leading the police to investigate and eventually pin everything on him. He had to find the real killer before the police started digging into him. Judging by the methods, the killer clearly held a deep grudge against Sora. Jung Tae started rewatching Sora's old live streams and noticed a relentless hater who constantly accused her of pocketing charity funds meant for stray animals. That hater was none other than a streamer named Go So Nyo. To his shock, Go So Nyo turned out to be Sora's best friend, and she'd even publicly threatened to sue Sora. Jung Tae, ever observant, noticed something even creepier. Go So Nyo had been imitating Sora's style, from her hair accessories and makeup to even her nails. Jung Tae began to suspect Go So Nyo was driven by jealousy and that she might have killed Sora. Determined to confirm his suspicion, Jung Tae started watching all of Go So Nyo's videos, trying to figure out where she lived. In one video, Go So Nyo accidentally revealed the name of a dry cleaner near her home. Using that clue, Jung Tae tracked down her neighborhood. When Go So Nyo wasn't home, Jung Tae climbed through her window to search for evidence, and sure enough, he found a box containing a red envelope identical to the one he'd received days ago. Inside were also several printed messages, all from an online user named 1984. The messages were chilling. 1984 said they were sick of just watching Sora's streams and demanded a private, in-person meeting with her. If she refused, they threatened to kill her. Jung Tae clicked into 1984's profile and discovered he was a middle-aged creep who had been stalking Sora everywhere she went. Under every one of Sora's videos, there were his disturbing comments. When he saw a photo of Sora at a hotel, he immediately assumed she was there for a secret hookup, even declaring he wanted to die with her. Shortly after, Sora stopped posting entirely. Jung Tae began to suspect Go So Nyo had hired this creep to kill Sora and was now trying to frame him. But now that he knew their scheme, he could finally clear his name. However, when Jung Tae got home, he found one of his shoes kicked to the side of the door. He immediately sensed someone had broken in. Grabbing a baseball bat, he reached for the light switch only to find the power was out. Then, from outside the door, he heard someone punching in his door code. Jung Tae tried to peek through the peephole, but it was covered up and the keypad beeping continued. He crouched down and saw a red envelope lying on the floor. Just as he reached for it, a figure in black suddenly lunged at him from inside his own apartment. They struggled violently, and during the fight, Jung Tae managed to rip off the attacker's helmet, revealing the middle-aged creep. 1984. This only strengthened Jung Tae's belief that 1984 was Sora's killer. Panicking, Jung Tae ran to the police station, reporting that the pervert had broken into his home and was also responsible for killing Sora. He also claimed Go So Nyo was an accomplice. However, the detectives pointed out that if Go So Nyo was guilty, why would she be the one to file the missing person report for Sora in the first place? That question left Jung Tae completely stumped. He insisted the killer was still inside his apartment, and if they caught him, everything would become clear. But the moment they stepped into his apartment, Jung Tae was stunned. The creepy stalker was already dead. A red envelope was stabbed into the sand like a flag. Fearing the envelope might contain incriminating photos, Jung Tae tried to hide it, but the detective took it first. Inside were not only photos of Jung Tae and the stalker together, but also images of Jung Tae at the crime scene.
조작이에요, 조작. 저 몰라요, 저 사람.
한소라랑 이종학, 구정태 씨가 죽였습니까?
제가 왜 죽여요, 저 사람을. 제가 죽였으면 제 형사님을 저희 집에 왜 데리고 와요, 저.
그거야 너무 쉽죠. 의심 안 받으려고, 수사에 혼선 주려고.
Without hesitation, the detectives tried to arrest Jung Tae. In a moment of panic, Jung Tae rammed into the detective, knocking him out cold, and fled the scene. The police quickly arrived to search his apartment and found a blood-stained shoe. DNA tests confirmed the blood matched the stains found under Sora's sofa, so they immediately issued a warrant for Jung Tae's arrest. At the same time, Jung Tae was at the stalker's house, desperately searching for clues. After digging through piles of garbage, he finally found a handwritten address. It was the address of the crematorium where his mother's ashes were stored. That's when he remembered someone had already messed with his mother's urn. Rushing to the crematorium, Jung Tae retrieved the urn and opened it. Inside was a blood-stained knife, the very weapon used to kill Sora. Tears streaming down his face, Jung Tae kept digging and found yet another red envelope. The message inside warned him, if the police ever found his secret hideout, he would be completely finished. Furious, Jung Tae stormed into Go So Nayo's house. Without saying a word, he smashed her entire live stream setup to pieces. Go So Nayo screamed that all she did was introduce the stalker to Sora. How was this her fault? It turned out the stalker had been obsessed with Go So Nayo all along, not Sora. Fearing for her own safety, Go So Nayo had pointed the stalker towards Sora instead, but only a few days later, Sora disappeared. Terrified that the stalker had kidnapped Sora, Go So Nayo went to the police herself. Under Jung Tae's relentless questioning, Go So Nayo dropped another bombshell. All the online hate she directed at Sora was staged. It was all part of a script they wrote together. The nastier Go So Nayo's attacks, the more sympathy Sora gained, which led to more followers and donations. In return, Sora gave Go So Nayo a 20% cut, but Jung Tae didn't buy her story. He pulled out the red envelope and demanded an explanation. Go So Nayo swore she knew nothing about it.
뭐라고?
소라가 나한테 돈 줄 때 걷다 넣어서 주는 건데.
Suddenly, it all clicked for Jung Tae. He remembered the faint scent on the masked intruder. It was the same scent as Sora's perfume. He realized the truth: Sora was still alive. And just as he suspected, Sora was far more ruthless than anyone knew. Years ago, she had even sold her own brother to human traffickers for quick cash. Her father found out and threw her out of the house. To survive, Sora ended up working as a hostess at a nightclub, but her arrogant personality led to frequent beatings until one slap changed her entire life. After that, Sora posted a selfie from the hospital with just 3 words, "Just donated blood." The background poster showed a blood donation drive, and everyone assumed she was a kind-hearted volunteer. Praise flooded in, and Sora realized if people loved her kindness, she'd make kindness her brand. That's how she became a viral philanthropist. It was only when donations started rolling in that she began faking charity events, using stray animals to scam money. All of it was witnessed by none other than Jung Tae, who had been stalking her. To eliminate him, Sora turned the tables, tracking him instead. That's when she stumbled onto his secret collection of trophies. Sora then set the trap, pretending to rent her place to lure him in. But before her plan could work, she needed a pawn, and Go So Nayo's creepy stalker was the perfect tool. Sora carefully calculated the timing and staged her own murder scene. First, she dressed a pillow in her pajamas and stabbed several holes into it with a knife. Then, she drew her own blood, spreading half evenly across the floor, letting a single drop fall at the entrance, and smearing the rest all over her pajamas. Finally, the moment Jung Tae walked in, she held her breath and played dead. Just as planned, the second Jung Tae stepped inside, his foot landed right on that drop of blood, and then his eyes fell on Sora's lifeless body sprawled on the sofa. Just as Sora expected, Jung Tae panicked and fled the scene without even checking if she was actually breathing. After Jung Tae left, Sora took several photos of herself dead on the floor. She even plucked out a strand of her own hair and placed it next to the blood, making sure Jung Tae would think it was his. She then cleaned up the scene, leaving only a small drop of her own blood under the sofa as a planted clue. Once Jung Tae took the bait, she smeared the knife with blood and had the stalker hide it inside Jung Tae's mother's urn. As Jung Tae got dragged deeper into her trap, Sora planned to sneak into his place, hang him, and pin the whole thing on the stalker, framing herself as Jung Tae's kidnapped victim. But things didn't go as planned during their struggle. Jung Tae tore off the helmet and recognized the stalker's face. And worse, Jung Tae managed to escape. Sora had no choice but to change her plan on the fly. She killed the stalker herself and framed Jung Tae for it. After making sure the stalker was dead, Sora planted incriminating photos at the scene and used a mechanical baseball launcher to beat herself black and blue. Meanwhile, Jung Tae suddenly remembered Sora knew about his secret storage room. He rushed back immediately. When he tried turning on the lights, he realized Sora had already cut the power.
왜 맨날 우리 집에만 불 끄고 지랄이야!
Furious, Jung Tae shouted into the darkness only for Sora to lunge at him out of nowhere. In pain, Jung Tae shoved her off, but Sora got right back up and slashed at him wildly with her knife. Before Jung Tae could react, Sora tackled him again. Instinctively, Jung Tae pinned her to the ground to restrain her just as the police burst in.
일어나!
Seeing Jung Tae on top of a bruised and bloodied Sora, with the shackles still attached to her ankle, the police assumed Jung Tae had illegally imprisoned her and immediately moved to arrest him. As Sora flashed him a triumphant smirk, Jung Tae broke free and made a run for the door, locking it behind him to escape the police once again. Detective Oh Young-ju was furious when she heard what happened, chewing out the officers responsible for losing Jung Tae. The forensic team also found something strange judging by the amount of blood at the scene. If Sora had really been injured or attacked, she would have bled out long ago, yet here she was, perfectly fine. While digging into Sora's past, Oh Young-ju discovered that a hostess had gone missing at the nightclub where Sora used to work, and the last person the girl ever called was Sora. At the time, Sora was treated as a suspect, but with no body ever found, she was eventually released. Convinced there was more to the story, Oh Young-ju requested to reopen the investigation, but the chief only cared about solid evidence and ordered Oh Young-ju to focus on arresting Jung Tae immediately. Meanwhile, Sora took full advantage of public opinion, going live to tell her tragic story. With her flawless acting, she easily won over countless viewers. Some even vowed to hunt down Jung Tae themselves. Watching the live stream, Jung Tae knew his time was running out. He sent Detective Wu a handwritten letter, admitting that he had indeed abused his job to spy on tenants, but after getting caught up in this murder case, he fully realized the weight of his crimes. However, he swore he wasn't the killer, begging Oh Young-ju to trust him one last time, promising to reveal the full truth. At the same time, Jung Tae sent Sora a red envelope containing a photo, the one showing her faking her death on the sofa. On the back was a message telling her to retrieve the rest of the photos from the stalker's house. This completely shattered Sora's composure. If those photos got out, her entire scheme would collapse. Panicked, she quickly packed her things and rushed out to confront Jung Tae, but when she arrived, Jung Tae was already there, waiting for her. Sora demanded he hand over the photos, but Jung Tae offered a deal: he'd help her cover up everything if she cleared his name. The dead stalker would take the fall, Sora would remain the victim, and Jung Tae would be seen as her heroic savior.
내가 왜? 그냥 네가 죽으면 되는데?
When Jung Tae regained consciousness, he found himself tied up. Sora, holding a bag of charcoal briquettes, was ready to end his life, but Jung Tae wasn't afraid. Instead, he kept asking if it was Sora who killed the stalker. Just as Sora was about to let him die with some answers, she noticed Jung Tae's eyes darting towards something. Following his gaze, Sora discovered a tiny hidden camera inside the air conditioner. She smashed the camera with her foot, mocking Jung Tae, but instead of panicking, Jung Tae just burst out laughing, completely confusing her.
내가 너 언제부터 따라다녔을 것 같아? 조한산 나무 아래 및 공터. 이 누구였더라? 조혜란?
야, 조혜란?
조혜란 죽인 건 누구 탓할 건데?
Sora's emotions spiraled out of control. She screamed that Jo Hye-ran's death was entirely her fault. Back when Sora first started gaining fame online, Jo Hye-ran blackmailed her with photos from her time working as a hostess, demanding 20 million won or she would leak the photos and destroy Sora's image. To silence her for good, Sora bludgeoned Jo Hye-ran to death and buried her body at the foot of Mount Chuan. At first, Jung Tae had no idea until Detective Wu showed him a missing persons flyer with Jo Hye-ran's face on it. That's when it clicked. Jung Tae remembered seeing Sora acting suspiciously near a patch of dirt, furiously kicking at the ground, like she was burying something. That's why Jung Tae set this whole trap to make Sora confess herself. Meanwhile, the police following the coordinates Jung Tae provided unearthed not only Jo Hye-ran's body, but also the remains of the stray dogs Sora had killed. Enraged, Sora lashed out at Jung Tae, attacking him relentlessly. Tied up, Jung Tae could only dodge left and right, barely keeping himself alive. Just when Sora was about to deal the final blow, the police stormed in and arrested her for premeditated murder. Even then, Sora showed no remorse for what she had done.
다 너 때문이야.